Mic check, 1, 2, here we go. Michael E here, I'm about to flow. Yo, yo, so it's 12 p.m. It is time for the Facebook Live. I've just got my presentation together and I'm so excited to talk to you about getting more protein. So, welcome. Day two of the 5 Habits Challenge. My name is Michael Espinosa and I want to welcome you today to today's habit, which is to eat 1 to 2 palms of protein every meal, at one meal. I don't know, it depends on the level that you chose today on your action guide. So level 1, you're gonna get 1 to 2 palms of protein at one meal today. If you wanna practice at a higher level, at level 2, you're gonna get 1 to 2 palms of protein at all your meals today. And if you wanna practice at level 3, you're gonna get 1 to 2 palms of protein at all meals today, eaten slowly. So level 3 is gonna get really hard moving forward because we're gonna start stacking the habits on that level 3. So if this is something that's super overwhelming for you, don't fret, scale back on the level, especially if it's something you really need to work on, like getting protein at every meal. Maybe that's easy for you, maybe it's not, maybe it's really tough. So remember, the goal here is to get 1% better. Look at where you're at now and just try to make a little bit of an improvement, a little bit of change to move forward. So I want to explain to you what I mean by 1 to 2 palm-sized portions of protein. A palm-sized portion of protein is a piece of protein the size of your palm and thickness of your palm, right there. So remember, the idea here is not to be perfect. The idea is to be consistent. So, we're always thinking about consistency over perfection. In fact, I'm using this as a way to move away from a perfection mindset, calculating and tracking, and moving more towards a consistency mindset where I'm not really overthinking or thinking too much about what I'm eating. I'm just like, okay, that's a palm-sized portion of protein. Let's throw it on there. I got my 2 fists of veggies. I got my thumbs of fat. I got my 2 cup handfuls of starchy carbs. Boom, I'm ready to go. That's what I did this morning. It took me 5 minutes. It was amazing. And you guys can see what I ate this morning on my Facebook feed. So this strategy also assumes a mixed intake. So this morning I had eggs. The eggs had yolk, and the yolk has a lot of fat, but I'm not counting that as my thumb of fat, which we'll talk about later. I'm just counting it as my protein source for that meal. So this system assumes a mixed intake, so don't fret over the minutia. Oh, there's a little bit of marbled fat in my beef, freaking out. It's okay. It's your protein. We'll add some healthy fats to that later. So I wanted to remind you what it's going to take to win in this challenge. So number 1 is complete the action guide. I've sent you the action guide to your email if you're on my email list. And the action guide has today 3 simple steps. Number 1 is to choose your level. What level do you want to play with us at? What level is challenging yet comfortable where you can get into the zone, make a little bit of change, and move forward? So you'll choose your level. Number 2, ask you to answer some questions. What might get in your way of eating protein at your level? What's your biggest roadblock? And when it comes to getting protein, what might be a solution for you to overcome that roadblock? So I'm asking you to think about your life, you specifically, what makes getting protein difficult for you, what might get in your way, and I want you to think about some creative solutions. And we're going to talk about some tips and tricks later on in the Facebook Live to help you get more protein. So I'm willing to bet that most of you are not nutrition and fitness professionals like me. Maybe there's a couple of you there that are, I think. So we're going to talk a little bit about protein and why protein. Like, what is it? All right, so really quick. Protein is one of the 3 macronutrients. The other 2 are fat and carbohydrate. Protein itself is made of amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks for most of the stuff in our bodies. Now, here's a really important point. You do not store protein in your body, like we store fat and like we store carbohydrates in the form of glycogen in the liver and in the muscles. So since we don't store protein, well, you kind of do store protein in your body, in your muscle, skin, and all that, right? So since we don't store protein, it's important that we, and since it's always getting used, and since it's always getting recycled and sometimes excreted, it's important that we continually replenish protein by eating it. If we don't get enough protein, your body will start to plunder from its parts, where you're storing protein in your muscle, to get what it needs to survive. So put simply, you are basically a big pile of protein, and if you have no protein, you have no you. So you can see why getting protein is really, really important. So I want to address some of the things around protein, some of the information that we may be hearing. So one of the things that people talk about is the recommended daily allowance of protein. How much protein do I actually need? Well, the RDA, the recommended daily allowance for protein, is about 0.36 grams per pound of body weight. So the more you weigh, the more protein you need. Now, here's the thing. The recommended daily allowance, the RDA for protein, were originally developed as a way to prevent malnutrition, to represent a minimum amount of a nutrient you need to not die or not get sick. So, you're not dead is not the same thing as you're kicking ass, all right? We want you to kick ass. We don't want you to be undead, right? So the RDA, the recommended daily allowance for surviving, may be different than what we need to actually thrive. So kind of along the same lines of about how much do we need, the lower limit, there's no upper limit for protein. We know that through research, we know that eating up to 2 grams per pound of body weight didn't cause any short-term health problems in clinical studies. So I'm going to go over some of the common health concerns about eating too much protein. And those concerns are kidney damage, liver damage, osteoporosis, heart disease, and cancer. Let's say you're the type of person who's eating a lot of chicken fingers and fried chicken, fried meats, ground processed meats, bolognas, high mercury fish, high fat sausage, processed deli meats, super processed soy, protein bars, Slim Jims. Well, you may be putting yourself at risk for some of those diseases, for some of that. Now, that's not the type of protein we're talking about. We're talking about beans and lentils, eggs and egg whites, fish and shellfish, Greek yogurt, cultured cottage cheese, insects, poultry, red meat in moderation, and other meats such as goats, camels, horses, moose, turtles, frogs, ostrich, etc. Not just pork, beef, and chicken. So that, along with a diet rich in colorful fruits and vegetables, which we'll talk about later, is probably going to mitigate some of those factors for kidney damage, liver damage, osteoporosis, heart disease, and cancer. And research does not back up that those things are eating the proteins that I described that we should be eating more of, along with colorful fruits and vegetables. Those concerns do not hold weight. And so I'm not going to go into in detail each of those concerns, but I'm sure that we will continue the discussion in the comments section and in the Facebook posts, and I'm happy to address any concerns that you may have. Now, you're going to need more protein if you're physically active, if you're injured or sick, if you have a condition where you're not absorbing protein normally, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, if you're younger and you're growing, and if you're older and possibly losing some lean mass. Higher protein diets are helpful to lower blood pressure, improve glucose regulation, improve blood cholesterol, and improve other indicators of cardiometabolic health. It's a win all around. So athletes, aging people who may be losing muscle, people who want to build muscle, and people who want to lose fat are all going to benefit from having more protein. Protein takes energy to digest, it makes us feel full for longer, and it helps us hold on to lean mass when we're in a caloric deficit or if we're getting older, as I've said. So not all protein is created equal. So we really want to look at the quality of protein that we're eating. And really all that means is looking to more whole foods for sources of protein that are less processed. You can, in the file section of the group, I've dropped a shopping list. And that shopping list is going to have some really good ideas for the types of protein you can be putting on your own personal list and shopping for. And I have some other resources that I'm happy to share with you all. So, of course, just like everything else, everything exists on a spectrum. And so we have, on the one hand, our turtles and crickets and moose and wild game, right? Which is probably like the best thing that you could do. I mean, I would love to eat more crickets and moose and have that in my life. And then there's the things on the opposite end, things like fried meats and deli meats. So we want to be thinking about that spectrum all the time. If you're not getting protein and you're trying to add more in your diet, then you know what? Processed meat is going to be okay to start with as we continue to move forward and look to how we can continually get better as we move along in our journey. I'm definitely down for an insect potluck, Matthew. I think that would be amazing. I actually have a friend who's studying cricket protein in a university in North Carolina, which is really super interesting. It's the future. Insect protein is the future. How many crickets does it take to make a palm-sized portion of protein? I don't know. We need to figure that out. So, okay, now that we've talked about, I'm totally gonna wrap this up. I'm trying to make this shorter than half an hour. I have a tendency to go off. Let's talk about how to get more protein into your diet. So, ideas for getting more protein. Number one, a free day food prep ritual. Now, this is usually known as like the Saturday food prep ritual or Sunday food prep ritual. I say free day food prep ritual because not everybody has their day off on a Saturday or Sunday. So whatever day off you have, that can be a great a starting point to look at. Okay, how can I do a larger prep of protein? That's going to last me for a few days. It doesn't have to be for the whole week. It doesn't have to be for the month. You just take a moment to think ahead a few meals. Thinking, if I have my free day on a Wednesday, well, I can throw a bunch of chicken breast in the oven in a cooking dish and cook a bunch at one time. I can make a big pot or a stew. Just looking at the day that you have free to cook a little bit more than what you need. Always planning and thinking ahead, which is going to be a major theme as we continue through this challenge. Whether you want to eat slowly, you have to plan ahead to schedule that time for yourself. If you're in a rush, if I forgot to eat and I got to be here in 10 minutes, I haven't eaten anything, I'm going to go crazy. And then you start scarfing your food. That's a planning problem. It's not that you forgot to eat slowly, it's that you weren't looking ahead. Same thing with protein. When we fail to look ahead, when we fail to plan, we plan to fail. Oh my gosh. So another strategy would be a breakfast, lunch, or dinner prep ritual. So I'm a big fan of this. Truth be told, I hardly ever do the free day food prep ritual. I don't have a free day. I'm always on. But I do have moments where I can prep food and cook. So instead of just prepping lunch, I love to prep lunch and dinner, or cook, roast a big chicken, or make a huge pot of beans that's gonna last me for a few meals. Just buy me a little bit of time, and I'm just constantly staying a little bit ahead. So that's something that you can consider as well. What's working for you right now? When are you already cooking? I had a short discussion with someone in the Facebook group, and now the name is escaping me, and I hate this because I was gonna remember. Anyways, we were talking, or we were exchanging, and my question was, what meal is working for you right now? And so that's what you want to be thinking about. What meal is working for you right now? What when are you cooking already? When are you making that happen for yourself? And just add a little bit more. Try to, if you're cooking on the stovetop and you're prepping dinner, can you get a roasted chicken in the oven while that's happening? Can you, put a little more chicken on the burner, or saute those crickets? Can you put some more beans in the pot than you usually do, to think ahead? So the breakfast, lunch, or dinner prep ritual is just taking what you're doing already and thinking ahead a few steps, and so you can be prepared. Another great tactic is to stock up on easy to grab protein sources that you don't have to cook and prep. So an easy to grab protein source would be like sardines, low fat Greek yogurt, low fat cottage cheese, homemade jerky, anything that is already pre-prepped, preferably less processed, that you can go to in a pinch. One of my favorites is cottage cheese, some 2% cottage cheese. Quick salad, I don't have to cook it. Boom, throw some veggies together. Throw some cottage cheese on there, a couple handfuls of small handfuls of nuts, and maybe some some toast or something like that for carb, or some fruit for my carb that day. Really quick, something that I can get together that is not going to take a bunch of time to prep. Maybe I do that to buy myself some time so I can cook some protein. Just want to have some things on your shopping list that you like that are going to be really easy to grab, protein sources that are really easy to grab. Another tactic that I love and I talk about all the time is the super shake. And I just reminded to get the super shake guide up, because that's going to help you guys for all of the habits. And a super shake, all that is a little bit of liquid with a couple scoops of protein powder, with some kind of vegetable. Kale is a popular one in smoothies, with some healthy fats, and with some fruit to sweeten it. And there you have all 4 of the habits. Now you just have to enjoy it slowly, and now you're kicking ass level 3, and all you did was make a protein shake. Well, we don't call it a protein shake, it's a super shake, because it has everything: protein, veggies, whole food starchy carbs, and fats. So that's a really quick option, under 5 minutes to get it together if you're in a rush, and then you can enjoy it slowly wherever you go. So I want to continue this discussion on the Facebook group. So if you have any input, any questions, anything that you disagree with or you want to discuss about, I'm super happy to engage you and to find out more about how you're getting more protein. What are some of the obstacles that you're facing when you're trying to get more protein in your diet? What are some possible solutions for you? I can make suggestions all day, but I really want you to be creative. But I don't know anything about your life. I don't know anything about you. So I need you to delve deep, be creative, think about what you got going on in your life, think about what your schedule is like, and find creative solutions for planning ahead for getting more protein into your diet. So I am signing off, and I mean it. I'm not going to say I'm signing off and then talk for another 5 minutes like I did last time. I am signing off. Let's continue this discussion on the Facebook group. I gave you plenty today to think about. And I want to remind you that this is not about perfection. This is about consistency. I want to remind you to strive to live 1% better every single day. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the group. Later.